Have you ever wondered what happened to those who stood on the other side in the death of Jesus Christ? His death has become a symbol of mercy. But what about the fates of those who betrayed, condemned, and watched him? Prepare yourself for a journey filled with tragedy, regret, and profound lessons from those who played a part in that sorrowful event. Soon, you will realize that the things we do in this life always find a way to come back to us, in the most unexpected ways. Pontius Pilate, confusion and the tragedy of power. Pontius Pilate, the Roman who washed his hands to show his innocence in Jesus' condemnation, met a tragic end after losing his power. Suicide was not just an act to end his life, but also a symbol of his inability to escape the consequences he himself created. Pilate was described as a cruel and rigid man, but when faced with the crowd demanding Jesus' blood, he showed weakness and compromise. His act of washing his hands did not cleanse him, but rather revealed his desire to evade responsibility. In life, perhaps each of us is sometimes like Pilate, seeking ways to wash our hands of responsibility, hoping that the consequences will wash away on their own. But Pilate serves as proof that we cannot escape them. Perhaps Pilate truly believed he had done the right thing, or at least he wanted to believe so. However, his denial of responsibility made him a symbol of cowardice. In the end, the power he wielded did not help him escape the haunting of guilt. For example, in modern life, people in power such as business leaders or politicians often make decisions just to maintain their positions, forgetting about the longer-term consequences. Pilate's story is a reminder that power is only temporary if it lacks responsibility and compassion. Cassius, transformation through faith. Cassius, the Roman soldier who thrust his spear into Jesus, experienced a profound transformation. When he pierced Jesus, a drop of his blood fell into his eyes, blinding him. This could be seen as a punishment, but it was also the beginning of his redemption. Cassius then went through a spiritual awakening. From a mere executor of orders, he became a seeker of truth and faith. Cassius is proof that even in the darkest moments, one can find light. His blindness was only temporary, but his spiritual awakening was eternal. This is a lesson that suffering can sometimes be an opportunity to reevaluate oneself and find a transformation we may never have thought possible. Cassius' story also reflects a universal truth. Sometimes we need to experience pain to recognize what truly matters. For instance, someone who goes through a life crisis or loss often ends up contemplating deeply on core values and may find a new, more meaningful path. Herod, power and decay. Herod, the king who ordered the massacre of innocent children in Bethlehem in an attempt to kill Jesus, could not escape a tragic end. His death from a disease that ravaged him from the inside, as if the decay from his soul spread to his body, was clear evidence of natural justice. Herod is a classic example of someone blinded by power, willing to sacrifice anything to maintain his position. He tried to kill a child he feared would threaten his power, but it ultimately led to a painful death no different from the torment he inflicted on others. Other historical leaders like Napoleon or Hitler also built their empires with blood and cruelty, only to meet bitter ends. This shows us that power can bring temporary glory, but the consequences of cruelty are inevitable. Tiberius, the inescapable end. Tiberius, the Roman emperor during Jesus' crucifixion, lived a life full of conspiracies and betrayals. Though he did not directly order Jesus' execution, his neglect and lack of concern allowed injustices to unfold. His death at the hands of his successor Caligula serves as proof that even those with the most power cannot escape betrayal from within their own ranks. Tiberius ruled the largest empire on earth, but could not protect himself from the plots within his palace. This is a lesson on the fragility of power, especially when it is built on negligence and injustice. Sometimes in life we might ignore wrongdoing, but this negligence can lead to unforeseen consequences. Judas Iscariot, betrayal and too late regret. Judas, the disciple who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, is one of the most famous and tragic figures of the New Testament. His betrayal not only hurt Jesus, but also betrayed the values he had lived and witnessed. After the betrayal, Judas was overwhelmed with guilt and despair. ultimately leading him to end his own life. What makes Judas's story so tragic is that he once had everything within reach: love, teachings, and closeness to Jesus. But out of greed and disappointment, he lost it all. His remorse came too late, and the silver coins he received brought not satisfaction but despair. From Judas' story, we see that greed and the desire for shortcuts can lead to self-destruction. Many people in today's society also choose shortcuts to achieve what they want, but ultimately, they only receive regret and pain. Peter, redemption, and ultimate courage. Peter, the disciple who denied Jesus 3 times on the night of his arrest, became one of the most important leaders of the church after his repentance. Peter's story is a testament to the power of redemption and unshakable faith. He transformed from a fearful man who denied his Lord to save himself into a brave preacher who defended the gospel. Peter's end was one of sacrifice. He was crucified upside down at his own request, as he felt unworthy to die in the same manner as his master. This shows that true repentance is not just about feeling sorry, but also about changing one's behavior and being willing to pay the price for what one believes. Peter's story encourages reflection on the power of faith and the ability of people to change, regardless of past mistakes. Caiaphas' power, fear, and regret. Caiaphas, the high priest who played a crucial role in bringing Jesus before the Sanhedrin and condemning him, lived longer than many in this story, but could not escape the shadow of his decisions. Caiaphas, as a religious leader, should have been a symbol of justice and compassion. Instead, he acted out of fear of losing power and status in the face of Jesus' challenge. Caiaphas believed that killing Jesus would bring stability and protect him from threats posed by the Roman authorities. However, he could not foresee that the very event would become the foundation for a faith now embraced by billions. The rise of Christianity, which he sought to destroy, unfolded before his eyes, likely leaving a deep sense of regret. In life, many of us might find ourselves in similar situations, sometimes choosing paths of betrayal against our core values due to fear of losing our positions or privileges. Caiaphas' story reminds us that regret can become an eternal burden if we fail to live authentically and uphold what is right. Looking back at the characters in the story surrounding Jesus' death, each person made decisions and actions that led to their distinct endings, but they all share one thing in common: their choices, whether driven by ambition, fear, or greed, had inescapable consequences. Pilate serves as a testament to the failure of evading responsibility. Herod shows us that cruelty cannot sustain power forever. Tiberius reveals that neglect and inaction lead to downfall. Judas exemplifies self-destruction brought by greed, while Peter and Cassius tell stories of redemption and finding light even in the darkest times. The greatest lesson from this story is about choices and consequences. What we do in life never truly disappears. It always leaves a mark, whether good or bad. Forgiveness and redemption are always opportunities for us to make amends, but only when we genuinely want to change and face ourselves. Thank you all for staying with us throughout this emotional and reflective journey. The stories in the Bible are not just lessons of history, but also messages of profound values for life, about choices and their consequences. Don't forget to subscribe to Faith and Hope to not miss our upcoming meaningful content. If you find this video helpful, please like and share to spread the message. See you in the next video.